The palace walls are shaking again, and this time it's not from scandal whispers, it's from King Charles himself, losing patience with his disgraced brother. After years of warnings, tense family talks, and public embarrassment, Charles has reportedly delivered his final message to Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson: get out of Royal Lodge. The king's fury has reached its limit, fueled by fresh heckling from crowds and MPs demanding action. And now, the question echoing through every royal hallway is, has the king finally had enough to cut his brother off for good? The Royal Lodge, from dream home to drama zone. Royal Lodge wasn't just any house. It was a symbol of old-world royal comfort, tucked inside Windsor Great Park with 30 rooms, sprawling gardens, and history in every inch of its stone walls. Once the Queen Mother's beloved residence, it became Prince Andrew's home in 2003, a place he proudly shared with Sarah Ferguson long after their divorce. Back then, it seemed like the perfect arrangement, a quiet corner away from the spotlight where the Duke and Duchess could live in peace, close to Windsor Castle, but still private enough to feel normal. But that illusion didn't last.
The lease, and now it's been revealed that he only pays a peppercorn rent lease because he paid £8 million up front back in 2003.
In the years since, the house has turned from a peaceful retreat into the monarchy's biggest headache. Andrew's insistence on staying, even after his royal downfall, has become a major sore point. When the Epstein scandal exploded, most people expected him to step back completely, including from Royal Lodge. But instead, he dug his heels in. He reminded everyone of the ironclad lease he signed in 2003, an agreement that cost him $8 million up front, covering rent and renovations. Adjusted for today's value, that's about $14 million. The deal, though perfectly legal, now looks like a curse. Because while Andrew may have the paperwork to protect him, what he doesn't have anymore is public sympathy. The image of a disgraced royal living lavishly on royal grounds, in a mansion most taxpayers could never dream of, feels like a slap in the face, especially when his brother, the king, is fighting to modernize the monarchy and restore public trust. To make matters worse, maintaining the estate isn't cheap, and the optics of Andrew hosting friends or throwing events there don't help the royal image. Every photograph of that grand driveway or those manicured gardens reminds people of the privilege that refuses to fade. For the palace, Royal Lodge has become more than real estate. It's a symbol of resistance. King Charles has made it clear he wants to streamline the royal property portfolio, cutting costs and scandals alike. But Andrew's refusal to move out has turned a family issue into a national embarrassment. What once represented royal stability now stands for everything the public resents: entitlement, excess, and stubbornness. The heckling that sparked it all.
What about Andrew and Epstein? Have you asked the police to cover up for Andrew?
Breaking point came not behind palace doors, but in front of cameras. During an official royal visit, King Charles was greeting the crowd when a man shouted, "Have you asked the police to cover up for Andrew?" It was a shocking moment, rare, uncomfortable, and deeply public. The king didn't flinch. He kept shaking hands, smiling politely, and carried on as though nothing happened. But behind that calm expression, the message couldn't have been clearer. The scandal that refuses to die had just followed him into his own public duties.
King Charles has very much been dragged into this. The king has been heckled during an official visit today amid mounting pressure on the royals to strip Prince Andrew of his titles.
It was the kind of humiliation no monarch wants to face. For years, Charles had tried to manage the Andrew problem quietly, stripping him of titles, cutting off royal funds, and urging him to keep a low profile. But the heckling showed that the damage wasn't just private anymore, it was staining the crown itself. The clip spread online within hours, shared mostly by anti-monarchy groups who used it as proof of royal hypocrisy. Suddenly, every handshake Charles gave was overshadowed by one unanswered question: how much did he really know about his brother's dealings with Epstein? To his credit, Charles handled the moment with grace, sticking to the royal motto of never complain, never explain. Yet even his stoic response couldn't erase the embarrassment. Inside palace circles, that heckling was seen as the final straw, the moment when Charles decided enough was enough. The public had spoken, the reputation of the monarchy was at risk, and the Royal Lodge saga could no longer be ignored. If Andrew wouldn't go willingly, the king would have to make him. And this time, there would be no second chances, no quiet warnings, just a royal eviction notice written in stone. MPs turn up the heat.
His Majesty did in that incident.
Now, British MPs are considering formally stripping Prince Andrew of his titles and holding an unprecedented debate about his conduct in the House of Commons. What's the latest on this?
When a royal scandal reaches the floor of the House of Commons, you know things have gone too far. That's exactly what's happening with Prince Andrew's saga. British lawmakers are no longer whispering about it behind closed doors. They're openly questioning how long this can go on. For months, the public has demanded accountability, and Parliament seems ready to answer. Members of Parliament, including several from the Liberal Democrats, are calling for an official debate to discuss Andrew's conduct, finances, and remaining titles. It's a move almost unheard of in royal history. The idea that a member of the monarchy could be discussed, criticized, and possibly censured by elected officials. What's driving this sudden urgency is frustration. The public feels Andrew's symbolic punishment, losing his royal duties and titles, didn't go far enough. He still holds the Duke of York title, still lives in royal property, and still benefits from his royal connections, even if indirectly. That doesn't sit well with taxpayers who are told the monarchy is about service and sacrifice. MPs want to know exactly where Andrew's money is coming from and whether he's still receiving any hidden support from the Crown estate. One Liberal Democrat MP even proposed a select committee investigation into his finances, something no other royal has faced in modern times. Inside Westminster, the mood has shifted from embarrassment to determination. The old rule of don't touch the royals seems to be crumbling. Politicians who once avoided royal matters now see Andrew as fair game, arguing that his case damages not just the royal image, but Britain's global credibility. If Parliament does move ahead with a formal debate, it would be an extraordinary step. The first time a royal's personal conduct has been scrutinized at that level in decades. For King Charles, this development is deeply uncomfortable. He knows that once Parliament gets involved, the issue is no longer just a family problem, it becomes a national one, and that's the kind of storm no monarch wants to face. The Epstein shadow that won't fade. No matter how much time passes, Prince Andrew's scandal refuses to disappear. And that's because the details keep haunting him. The Epstein connection isn't just a bad memory, it's a wound that keeps reopening. Years after that infamous BBC interview with Emily Maitlis, people still refer to it as the car crash that changed royal history. It was supposed to clear Andrew's name. Instead, it buried him. His tone-deaf responses, claiming he couldn't sweat, denying meeting a known victim, insisting he'd done nothing wrong, became instant headlines around the world. That single interview turned public suspicion into outrage. But the story didn't end there. New revelations have made it even worse. Despite claiming he cut off all contact with Jeffrey Epstein after the financier's conviction, leaked emails proved otherwise. In one, Andrew reportedly wrote to Epstein saying, "We'll still play together." Those few words undid every defense he'd ever made. They showed that even after Epstein's crimes were exposed, Andrew still maintained a connection. And that's what the public can't forgive. Not just the poor judgment, but the dishonesty. Every time new evidence emerges, it drags the monarchy's credibility down with it. Even though Andrew no longer represents the royal family in any official capacity, his actions reflect on the institution as a whole. The palace can distance itself all it wants, but when your scandal involves the Queen's son, the stain spreads quickly. It also keeps raising uncomfortable questions. How much did the royal family know? Did they look the other way? And why has it taken this long for real consequences to appear? For King Charles, the Epstein shadow isn't just about Andrew. It's about survival. He's trying to modernize the monarchy to show the world that the crown stands for integrity and transparency. But as long as Andrew's name keeps resurfacing, that mission feels impossible. Every headline about Epstein and Andrew is a reminder that some ghosts don't fade quietly. They stay, they whisper, and they follow the crown wherever it goes. Pressure from within the family. When the tension reaches your own family, you know things are bad. For Prince Andrew, the push to leave Royal Lodge isn't just coming from King Charles, it's now coming from his own daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. Reports say both sisters, who've always been protective of their father, were quietly urged by Prince William to step in and persuade him to vacate the estate. It's a deeply personal move, but it shows how serious this has become. Even those closest to him know the situation is damaging the royal family from the inside out. William, in particular, has taken a firm stance. He's made it clear that the monarchy cannot afford to carry Andrew's baggage any longer. His approach has been subtle but cold, a kind of royal freeze-out that speaks louder than any public statement. The most telling moment came at the Duchess of Kent's funeral, where cameras caught the brief, uncomfortable exchange between the two brothers. Andrew tried to engage in small talk, but William's body language said everything. No warmth, no patience, just quiet rejection. For the future king, there's no room for sentiment when the family's credibility is on the line. This growing rift has left Beatrice and Eugenie torn between loyalty and reality. They love their father, but they also understand the damage his presence at Royal Lodge is doing. Reports suggest that after a private meeting with William, both sisters reluctantly agreed to talk to Andrew, hoping he'd finally see reason. It's a heartbreaking position for them, trying to protect a father the world sees as a disgrace, while also protecting the institution that defines their entire identity. Inside the palace, that dynamic has become one of the most sensitive issues. The optics are painful. Two young women caught between their father's downfall and their cousin's determination to clean up the royal image. The family's message is clear. If even Beatrice and Eugenie are encouraging Andrew to move out, the king's final warning isn't just a royal order, it's a family intervention. And that makes this battle less about property and more about survival, not just for Andrew, but for the monarchy's reputation itself. Fergie caught in the crossfire. For Sarah Ferguson, the storm around Royal Lodge feels like déjà vu. Another chapter where her loyalty to Andrew pulls her straight into the firing line. She's not the one under public investigation, but she's paying the price anyway. After years of rebuilding her image, writing books, and carving out her own path, Fergie now finds herself facing eviction alongside her ex-husband. Royal Lodge has been her sanctuary for years, like a rare place of comfort and stability after decades of scandal. But with Charles putting his foot down, even that safe space may soon disappear.
For him to go to Frogmore Cottage, of course, he was offered that 2 years ago by His Majesty the King, but he's also demanded Adelaide Cottage for his wife, Sarah Ferguson. Of course, Adelaide Cottage is where currently
she's reportedly asked for alternative accommodation within Windsor, suggesting Adelaide Cottage, the same home currently used by Prince William, Princess Kate, and their children. It's a bold request, almost symbolic. It shows how desperate she is to stay close to royal grounds, even as her presence becomes increasingly awkward for the palace. But King Charles isn't easily swayed. Sources close to Buckingham Palace say he's standing firm, no special treatment, no exceptions. The message is clear. Fergie may be family by history, but she's not immune to the cleanup operation happening under Charles's rule. The timing couldn't be worse for her. After years of public ridicule, she'd managed a quiet comeback through charity work, a book deal, and newfound popularity online. People had started to see her as resilient, the woman who always got back up no matter how many times life knocked her down. But now, all that progress is at risk. Every headline about Andrew drags her back into the mud, making it harder for her to distance herself from his mistakes. Still, those who know Fergie say she's refusing to abandon Andrew. She's always been fiercely loyal, even when it's cost her everything. Maybe it's habit, maybe it's love, or maybe it's that strange bond the two of them share. One built on shared exile and mutual understanding. Whatever it is, she's standing by him, once again, even as the walls of Royal Lodge close in. But this time, Her loyalty might come at a higher price than ever before, because in King Charles's new world, there's no room for sentiment, only survival. The final warning from the king. For years, King Charles tried the quiet route, private talks, polite suggestions, soft reminders that the public's patience was running out. But now, those days are over. Sources close to the palace say the king has finally given his brother a blunt ultimatum: leave Royal Lodge or face formal eviction. It's said to be Charles's final warning after months of tension, a last attempt to show that even royal blood doesn't excuse public disgrace. For a monarch who values stability and order above all else, this is his way of drawing a line in the sand. Andrew, however, isn't giving up without a fight. He's reportedly made a counter-demand, insisting on not one but two replacement homes: Frogmore Cottage, the former residence of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, and Adelaide Cottage, currently used by William and Kate. To many, that demand feels like another tone-deaf move from a man still clinging to privilege. But Charles isn't budging. The king wants Andrew out of Royal Lodge first, before any new arrangements are discussed. He's making it clear that this isn't a negotiation. It's an order. Behind this royal eviction drama lies something much bigger: the king's mission to restore dignity to the crown. For Charles, the monarchy isn't just a family. It's an institution that must evolve to survive. And as long as Andrew remains in that 30-room mansion, the monarchy's message of modern restraint feels hollow. Every photo of Royal Lodge reminds the public of a prince who fell from grace but refuses to let go of his comforts. By forcing him out, Charles is trying to reclaim control, not just over a property, but over a narrative that's spiraled out of his hands. Insiders say Charles is determined to show leadership through action, not sympathy. It's a harsh move, but one that reflects a new kind of monarchy, one that can't afford to carry scandals into the next generation. And while the king's decision may fracture family ties, he knows the cost of inaction would be far greater. This isn't just about evicting a brother. It's about saving the institution itself from sinking any deeper into shame. The bigger problem: what to do with Prince Andrew. Now, even if Prince Andrew leaves Royal Lodge, one question hangs heavy over the palace. What happens next? Where can a man like him go? What can he possibly do? The irony is painful. He can't remain a working royal, not after everything that's come out, and yet he can't live like an ordinary citizen either. Any company that tried to hire him would instantly face public outrage. His reputation has become radioactive, too tainted for charity work, too notorious for business, and too stubborn for obscurity.
Front rent costs and also for renovation. And then although this lease, it is a watertight lease, it does have very specific terms, such as no gambling on the...
Some palace insiders whisper about sending him to Sandringham or Balmoral, far away from London's spotlight. But even exile comes with complications. He's legally bound by that long-term lease at Royal Lodge, which means removing him completely could turn into a messy legal fight. On the other hand, the monarchy is morally bound by public expectation, and the public wants to see consequences, not comfort. It's a no-win situation, the kind that keeps Buckingham Palace up at night. For Andrew himself, the future looks bleak. He's trapped between worlds, too royal to disappear, too disgraced to rejoin them. Even his daughters, who love him dearly, can only do so much. The brand of Prince Andrew is toxic now, and no rebranding campaign can fix that. The palace knows this, and so does he. That's why he's clinging so tightly to Royal Lodge. It's the last symbol of a status he no longer truly has. For King Charles, this dilemma isn't just personal, it's strategic. The monarchy's image depends on accountability, yet Andrew's existence constantly reminds people of the privilege that refuses to die. How do you handle a royal who has nowhere to go and nothing to offer? You can't banish him completely, but you can't ignore him either. And that's the tragedy of Prince Andrew's story. Like a man once born into the heart of royalty, now reduced to being its biggest problem. Whether he stays, leaves, or fades into the background, the damage is already done. And the one question left is whether the monarchy can move forward without his shadow following close behind. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below.